welcome to another episode of What the Hell You Talking About? Lamar, what the hell we talking about this week? By the way, I'm LJ. That's
Oh,
Lamar.
okay.
What the hell we talking about?
All right. We're gonna talk a little about Jim Dolan's talking like stopping people from getting through the door. We're gonna talk about Clyde Frazier criticizing LeBron. But before we get into any of that, I just wanted to say we're about to start trying to do live shows soon on YouTube. So if you want to look us up on YouTube, look up Lemar LJ and subscribe to the channel. If you just want to keep listening to the podcast, just look up What the Hell Are You Talking About and subscribe to the podcast. Outside of that, all right, let's get started. All right, we'll start with the Mike Trout contract.
So that was a crazy contract. It's the biggest contract in sports history.
Yeah.
In the world of sports.
In the whole wide world.
Now, I don't follow baseball too much, but every time I hear about Trout, they keep saying, "Oh, this guy's one of the greatest." But every time there's a new face that comes around, they always say that guy's the greatest of all time at that position ever. They always try to build the young guy up with a bunch of hype. But baseball is a very long, it's a proud sport, and I know for a fact that someone still in their 20s, this is one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's not. Yeah, I mean he's considered the best in the league, and yeah, I don't follow it as closely as I used to, not even close to how I used to, but yeah, I mean if anybody's is worthy of it, it might as well be the guy who's considered the best in the game right now. So I'm okay with him getting that. I just don't understand. I mean, I guess he's fine. He's out in California, you know what I mean? He's nice place to live. I just don't see like the trend of these big contracts never really work out for a team. So I don't understand why a team would do it. I guess they're just thinking about, putting butts in the seats, because outside of that, it doesn't really lead to World Series. It doesn't really lead to winning,
it never does, ever.
Yeah.
But when's the last time a big money guy led to a world championship? Besides like Jeter, I mean, but he
never had no 10-year contract or nothing like that though. A-Rod
didn't have a contract.
Jeter did.
Yeah, A-Rod beat him out, but Jeter,
I didn't realize he had a 10-year contract. I guess we could say it worked out with A-Rod too, because he won one with the Yankees, but like he eroded really fast shortly after. Yeah, I mean, it still worked out for him. It didn't work out for the team, though, right? It didn't work out for the Rangers because they ended up trading him, and it certainly didn't work.
It worked out for St. Louis with Pujols.
No, they haven't been very good since. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. St. Louis. No. The Angels gave Pujols. He's with the Angels. The Angels gave him the 10-year contract.
No, I'm talking about. Didn't they give him the mega contract?
No.
The Angels did.
The Angels did. Yes.
I thought he won all his MVPs with the Cardinals.
No. He was winning with the Cardinals. Then he left the Cardinals and signed a big contract with the Angels.
Okay.
So, and then he sucked ever since he did that.
You still play?
I think so. I think he does, but that's how irrelevant he is. Like, since he signed that contract, he's been irrelevant. So, and it's funny because, and I don't want to accuse anybody of anything, but it's funny because they were saying, he's like the only clean, baseball player at that time or whatever. And then, ironically, as soon as he gets that big contract, he was a complete shell of himself. So I don't understand. So it's like, was he on the shit and then he stopped using it? You know what I mean? Like, it just makes you wonder. So I don't know. I mean, again, don't want to accuse anybody of anything, but it just does make you wonder because of that era of baseball, what was going on at that time. And, but yeah, these contracts never really do anything for that team, like outside of maybe ticket sales, but teams just don't usually win. So I really still don't understand why they do it. It's not like they have to do it. Most teams nowadays aren't doing it. That's why it took so long for Bryce Harper to find somebody to do it. Philly did it, and his own team was gonna do it. I could kind of get it if he's already in the building and you do it, but usually when you go somewhere else, it just doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like maybe if he'd have stayed with the Cardinals, if they would have given him that deal, he would have just kept playing the way he was playing. Everything would have been fine. But I guess the pressure kicks in to want to do better for that team or just to live up to your contract and the fans definitely put pressure on people sometimes. It's up to you if you succumb to that, but sometimes people I'm guessing that's why players tend to struggle when they get those big contracts, and it certainly doesn't help your team get other. Now they don't have a salary cap, but there's still a certain amount that they don't want to spend or that they have that. So
that's up to the organization. Some
right.
organizations would do that, but
right.
Like the Yankees, they put a cap on it. That's a self-imposed cap.
Right. They decided they're just not going to do that anymore. and so far, it's been working for them. They've rebuilt the team. They're a playoff team again, and they're a contending team again. I don't know how much better they are this year. I mean, I watch them every now and then. I watch them in the playoffs, so I don't know. But but as far as Mike Trout, like he's deserving. 10-year, $363 million extension, but if you count the 2 years that he already had, it's going to be a $430 million contract. So from here on, and somebody said he'd be making like $200,000 a game or something like that. That's crazy, but yeah. So that's that. All right, we can move on. We got a lot of basketball stuff.
We can talk about. We can talk a little bit about the Knicks, since we are Knicks fans, and we're not going to shoehorn it in, but it's relevant now because of the owner of the team, James Dolan, decided on March 17th, which is St. Paddy's Day. Actually, the fans decided this for them. They decided to wear green shirts that says "Sell the team."
Okay, so that's what happened. Yeah, I heard an inkling of the story. And they said they had security at the door, stopping people from getting in.
Yeah, they had security, and they were stopping everyone from getting it and kicking people out.
That's crazy.
Like, I don't understand. Like, to be honest, like, this needs to be dealt with now by the NBA, because if they want to wear a shirt there's nothing obscene about the shirt, it just says "Sell the team."
Right.
And it's not because the team is losing this season, because everyone knows we're tanking.
Right.
That's not the problem. The problem is you.
Right.
That's and both of us were on this program, on this podcast, a couple weeks ago when we said that we gave him credit for not getting in the way. And then as soon as we did that, here he comes.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he heard us.
Maybe he's one of our listeners. I don't know, but yeah, we gave him credit, and here he goes again. And all he has to do is just sit back and just let the team run by itself. You don't really need to run the team when you know nothing about basketball, and you get to learn a little bit more about James Dolan. And number one, his father pretty much invented Cablevision.
Mm.
That's the reason why they own the New York Knicks, because they own the Knicks and Cablevision owns the Garden, so the Garden owns the Knicks. So you know what I'm saying, like that. Yeah. That's just how it is. He was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He never had to work for anything in his life. He was on drugs and alcohol in the 80s, and he got off of that and started his own stupid band. And
shitty band, by the way. I heard some of the songs. It's a shitty band.
But some of these guys, these rich guys, they start life on third base and then they hit a triple. So it's kind of like he's a baby. He just thinks that everything should be his way, or he throws a tantrum. It sounds like someone else that's in the news right now that I would not. I'm not mentioning that guy's name, but yeah, it's just a person who was born rich. That's how they are. They're nothing like us, Like they don't know. If I had that team, if I had the Knicks, I think they win a championship. And I guarantee you, if I own the New York Knicks, the New York Knicks would be a championship contender.
I could guarantee that they'd be a playoff team if I'd owned them. That's as far as I can guarantee. But I know they would be way more well run than what this guy's got going. It's makes me sick, man. I'm tired of this. Like we're so close. We have a real plan in place. We're so close to making something happen, and then
here he goes now,
deterring people from coming there again. Like now, I don't know if we would have got anybody anyway, free agent wise, but he's definitely not helping the situation. So,
all right. So moving on from him, we can move on to the Lakers and the Knicks played maybe a few days ago. And it was a close game. And at this, during the timeout, LeBron was sitting at the end of the bench, and he was talking to Tyson Chandler, who was in street clothes. And the rest of the team was huddled up, and they were talking about plays or whatever. And the camera always goes on LeBron. So Clyde Frazier said he's not really engaged with the rest of the team. He's off by himself, and seems like he doesn't care. So he drew a lot of flack from social media, but I don't think Clyde cares because Clyde's like an almost 80-year-old man. He's not on social media.
Right.
He says what he wants. He doesn't really say anything controversial.
Right.
But he said what came to his mind, and is he wrong for having his opinion? No. Why? So, but I'm hearing a lot of sports pundits. Oh, he shouldn't say that. He shouldn't say that. I'm like, why? That's his opinion.
Right.
He has every right to his opinion. That if you think it's wrong, then you think it's wrong. But he explained himself too. He was like, the optics of it doesn't look right. He was like, he's standing on the side, not with his teammates. He doesn't really bond with his teammates besides like maybe just Lonzo Ball, but he's not really in with his teammates. So
I didn't have a problem with what he said either. I mean, it's like you said, it's his opinion, and that's not the first time somebody criticized LeBron's engagement with his teammates. But in this particular case, I didn't really think much of it. I didn't think it was much to talk about. I mean, but I mean the optics don't look right. I agree with him on that. LeBron, we already said a couple of episodes ago that LeBron, as a leader this year, was not very good. But I just wasn't. I mean, that in particular situation, I wouldn't have thought much of it. He was talking to a teammate. The game was basically over. What was it? Was the game?
No, it wasn't.
Oh, okay.
It was.
You know what I'm thinking about? I'm thinking about. It was another game I'm thinking about. What it was? I'm thinking about the other story we got going on. That we'll talk about. But I mean, okay. I don't really have a problem with what Clyde said for the most part, but whatever. It's to me, it is a non-story, and people shouldn't be trying to deter him from saying his opinion. Like that's what he feels. He's not the first person that said it this year. So why is he catching so much heat from it? Yeah, they was saying that they was calling him saying he's out of touch with what's going on. I'm like, no. He knows exactly what he's talking about. That's his opinion. I mean, it's basically how he sees the situation. And again, not the only person that said it this year.
And that's ageism too, because if anybody else said that, if it was Max Kellerman or Steve, they wouldn't say he's out of touch.
Right.
They say he's out of touch because Clyde Frazier is like a 76-year-old man.
Right. Yeah, that's
bullshit.
He's out of touch. Right. That's bullshit.
It is bullshit.
Clyde has never really said anything that I ever had a problem with. Even if I disagree, I usually can respect anything that Clyde says as a commentator. He's always pretty much on point with what with his personal opinion stuff. I usually don't really have a problem with the things that with his point of view of things. All right, let's talk about something we should have probably kind of led with. So, former Steelers player Josh Harris, he said that Ben Roethlisberger tried to sabotage a possession. Not so much sabotage a game, but they were up by 10 in a game with a minute left. This was a couple years ago when Todd Haley was the offensive coordinator. And Todd Haley was calling for a running play instead of just downing the ball. So Ben Roethlisberger kind of looked at him like, whatever, type of look. And then So Josh Harris is saying that Ben Roethlisberger purposely fumbled on that play to lose the ball, so just to prove a point and show him that that's not what you should be doing in this situation. So, although he's right in the sense that, yeah, if it's a minute left, you're up by 10, you should be downing the ball. He's 100% right in that sense. But to fumble, to do that, like, that's not cool. Like, that ain't right. Like, you don't do that. Like, if they turn around and lose that game because you did that somehow, like they score and they get an onside kick at that score, because it's happened before. It's very rare, but it's happened before. Like, that's crazy. Like, you don't do that, yo. Like, you could prove your point in other ways, the other thing I say is he must have been so fed up with Todd Haley at that point, because I know he hated him from day one. I do know that. I don't know what year this happened, and I don't remember how long. I know Todd Haley was probably there for at least 4 or 5 years, right, as the offensive coordinator.
He was there for that long?
I don't. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe not that long, but I know Ben Roethlisberger hated him from day one, and I know Todd Haley is a very hateable person based on with the talks around the league. But like I don't that to me that's indefensible. You can't defend that.
Yeah. When I heard that, I was just like, everything that everyone says about him is just true. It seems like everyone just brushes off criticisms of these quarterbacks because, as a quarterback, because he's a good player.
Right.
He's a Hall of Fame good person.
Right. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Like, that's what it comes down to. When you're a great player, usually you get a lot of passes. So, whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of the same way with Aaron Rodgers. He's more passive aggressive than anything.
Right.
And he just gets a pass. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of players say these things about these guys, and they get away with it. And it's the same goes with say a Dan Marino or something like that. You heard a lot of people say that he was an asshole. He didn't want to run the ball. Mm-hmm. I was like, well, then he deserves exactly what he got.
Right.
Not getting a ring.
Right.
They said that, he never wanted to run the ball. He wanted to pass the ball. He wanted to put it. I was like, well, he got it, and guess what? If you can do that now and win Super Bowls, but back in the '80s, man, you needed to run that ball.
I don't even think you can do that now and win Super Bowls. Like, it's popular to do that, but when it comes down to it, the teams that win do run the ball. Like the Rams run the ball, the Patriots run the ball. Carolina and Denver ran the ball. Philly runs the ball. You know what I mean? All the teams that have won and that's been there with them pretty much run the ball. They have a balance. So, like, the better, like, you could be a playoff team. You can even go maybe deep, but when it comes down to it, the teams that are in the Super Bowl pretty much have a balance. You know what I mean? Or balanced teams, or run the ball pretty consistently. Like Denver probably ran the ball a little bit more than everybody else did because their quarterback situation was a little dire at the time. But yeah, most teams run the ball pretty well that have won the Super Bowls or have even been there. So, but it's just the culture now that a lot of teams like to pass the ball a lot. But in the end, it's the teams that are well rounded that win. So, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna before we start to wrap things up, I'm gonna get into my Giants a little bit because we're actually in news.
Right.
We can talk about. Yeah, we can talk a little bit about the draft, the upcoming draft that's coming up. First, our GM Dave Gettleman, he's putting out fake news by saying that we're not interested in Dwayne Haskins. But then a report comes out by Mike Miller saying there's no team in the league that has scouted Dwayne Haskins more than New York Giants. So if he's put up smoke screens, I'm completely fine with that. Yeah. He's put up a lot of smoke screens and no one knows exactly what he's doing at all. We've talked about this off the air about trading Odell Beckham. As a matter of fact, this is the first time we've actually talked about it since the trade happened last week.
Right, it happened right before we finished.
Yeah, right before we finished. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've had a week to digest it as a Giant fan. he's our most skilled player that we've ever had on our team. Period. Point blank. I've never seen a player as skilled as Odell Beckham Jr., who as athletic as him, but he demands, like, you know what I'm saying, like he demands a lot of attention on the sidelines and off the field. He doesn't get in any trouble, doesn't get arrested, doesn't talk, doesn't throw teammates under the bus. He almost threw Eli under the bus, but he didn't say anything. But the thing is, you kind of don't win championships with guys like him.
Right.
And I've known this for a few years, but he's a hood ornament, but you can't win a ring with a hood ornament. You know what I'm saying? Like I would have loved to him be part of a rebuild, and we can build a team around him and get to a Super Bowl and win it with him. But I don't know if we can. But he's at a team that I'm hoping does really well. As a matter of fact, I hope the Browns win the Super Bowl this year with him. I really do hope that. I have no issue with Odell Beckham. I would love to have him part of the team, but I understand that he doesn't fit this Giants the Giants way. He's not part of our culture. That's why they chose Saquon Barkley. Quiet guy, goes about his business, more professional. Is not loud. Doesn't have a bunch of tattoos. Not dancing in the end zone. He doesn't dance at all. You know what I'm saying? Like they like guys like him. That's the guy they want to be the leader of the team. They don't want the loud, tattooed, dancing guy who does all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't like that. That's just the way the organization is.
Do you think the Giants are going to try to move up to make sure they get Haskins, or do you think they're going to just hope he lands with them? If they don't get him, then they don't get him?
This is exactly what I'm thinking right now. They're going to get him, but they're throwing out enough smoke screens so that no one else moves up to try to get him.
Mm-hmm. But it's out now that they want him.
Yeah, but that's what he said. It's out now that they didn't want him, so no one's going to try to move up past him to get him. But the thing is, they really like that quarterback that's coming out next year from Oregon. His name is Justin Herbert. Mm-hmm. He was going to come out this year, but he changed his mind. He doesn't want to come out.
Okay.
So he's coming out next year. He's staying in college, and that never works out for the best ever.
Yeah, usually you come out when you should. When your stock is high.
That never works out for the best.
I did want to mention Isaiah Thomas getting a standing ovation in Boston after like 2 years, and they gave him a tribute video after like 2 years because he didn't want to have it the same day as Paul Pierce's day last year. So he's like, no, thank you. So so 2 years later, they finally give him his due. But I'm like, did he really deserve all that? Like, after having just a couple of good years there. But whatever, I'm not a Boston fan, so I don't know. Maybe Boston fans can appreciate it. I don't know. But anyway, if you got nothing else, we're gonna wrap this shit up.
I'm good.
All right, so we will see you next week.
See you next week.
Like I said, I'm gonna try to do some live YouTube stuff. We'll do some live streaming as soon as I get it all figured out. I think I'm close to getting it figured out. We gotta get more subscribers first though on the YouTube channel, and nobody's gonna be watching. Some people come in randomly, but you gotta have people that are already subscribed to really get it going. So we're gonna try to work on that. So if y'all know anybody if y'all like the show, y'all know anybody who's into sports, let them know. Tell them about us. Lemar and LJ is what you look up on YouTube to find us. On the podcast, you look up what the hell are you talking about. On YouTube, you look up Lemar and LJ, or it doesn't come up for some reason when you look up what the hell are you talking about. So we're working on that.
We're working on that.
Yeah, we're working on that. So all right, y'all, we'll see y'all next week.